Steve Sellers will be helping me demonstrate, and we're going to be doing ground combatives. Let's go ahead and get started by bowing and come to attention. You got a flag there, go ahead and face your flag and bow. Face us and bow. All right, ready, stance. Good, so what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be going down the ground combatives list of first degree black belts. So if you got a first degree black belt test in front of you, feel free to have it nearby and make notes on it just to look it over and see that we're all on the same page. And I'll be kind of adding in how it fits in with the street, how it fits in with a real fight. So I know there'll be some overlap with the last seminar. I know he was going over some ground combatives as well, but hopefully I can say it a different way, and hopefully you'll learn something out of it from me as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off today with a shrimping motion. Mr. Sellers is going to show you a basic version. He's going to be on his side. He's going to roll to his side, and he's going to take his bottom arm and get it up out of the way, grabbing his collar right there. His top hand is going to be planted on the floor. He's going to use that top hand to lift his shoulder up and push it backwards. Make some space. Good. Then he's going to take his top foot right here and plant that one on the floor. He's going to use that to lift his hips up off the ground, and he's going to push his hips backwards. Just like that. So it's a constant motion. Shoulders go backwards, hips go backwards. Shoulders go backwards, hips go backwards. This is the basic version. It's, for those of you who are teachers out there, this is the easiest way to teach a new student. And it's just, you have them start right here, their back points in the direction they need to go, and it's just shoulders, then hips. It's all about getting a little bit of air, getting the shoulders off the ground, then followed by hips. So let's have everyone go ahead and start practicing that for just a few seconds. Go. Lay on your side. That's it. Lift the shoulders up off the ground. Make sure your bottom arm stays out of the way. I like to grab my collar just so I don't get tempted to start using it and putting my elbow on the ground. Lift those shoulders up and then follow up by lifting the hips and pushing them backwards. Nice. I see a lot of good fluid movement. Excellent. And stop. All right, let's go ahead and do the advanced version now. Mr. Sellers, please go ahead. So this time he's going to point his head in the direction that he wants to move. So he's going to roll to his side first, and then he's going to bend his legs, planting his top leg on the floor just like before, and he's going to push his hips back and around, making a little quarter circle with his hips. So he started with him here, and he moved him in a quarter of the circle, and moved him back to where they're in line with his shoulders, and now he straightens back out to where his head is pointing that side. Then he rolls the other direction, and now he's going to push his hips a quarter of a circle back that way, and he'll continue all the way until he's done. All right, thank you, Mr. Sellers. And once again, it's about getting your hips up off the ground so you're not dragging the floor, you don't get that extra friction, and making your hips go as far as you can, all the way to finish that quarter circle. Little movements can work, but it's not ideal. All right, let's go ahead and get started with those. Go. I'll give you just a few seconds. Very nice, very nice. Good, and let's go ahead and move on. The next thing on our list for black belt test is the shoulder walk. I know that Mr. Gamble covered both of these in the last class, but we'll just go ahead and briefly review for anyone who wasn't in his class. Go ahead, and you want to get your head up off the ground. So he's on his back, his head is up off the ground. He's curling in just a little bit with his shoulders. I'll give you a better view from a standing position here. And then he's going to be pushing off with his feet, and he's going to be pushing one shoulder back, then the other shoulder back. And so it's a little rocking motion back and forth as he's pushing to get that shoulder to walk backwards. All right, and let's go ahead and practice that. Go. Get those shoulders, get the head up off the ground first, and then walk those shoulders back. Keep pushing and walking them backwards. Very nice, and relax. Good, all right, so as I said, I was going to be trying to blend these into what you would actually be using these for in a street situation. And these two movements on the ground, they're there to be put with other things. They're not just going to happen by themselves. They're usually for when you're stuck in a situation, someone's on top of you. So perhaps Mr. Sellers is down there, and I'm plastering him, and I've got a lot of pressure right here. If he can start stripping out, now he's got some space, and he can start working to break free. Or maybe if I'm a little bit lower here, he might want to shoulder walk that direction, and now he's going to start getting space that way. So it's usually, these movements are for just getting better positions and getting out of situations, especially when someone's really heavy and laying on top of you. Just being able to work them off of the dangerous part where they're on your chest and you have a hard time breathing. All right, good. Let's go ahead and move into the rotating on the ground is next on our list here. So there's several different positions that we've got. So this is position 1 right here, where he's sitting all the way up. His hands are on the ground. This is the fastest position. I can move incredibly quickly, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get around because this is very, very fast. No matter how quickly I go, he's got a much shorter distance that he has to move, and I've got a longer one. All the while, he wants to keep those feet pointed towards me so he can start kicking. And I'll give you about 2 at a time. The next one he'll do is he can go back onto his elbows here. This one is not as fast, but his head is a little safer. He's farther away from me now, so it's going to be harder for me to hit. And he also has more opportunities of kicking straight up. So if I'm down here, boom, he can get all the way up into my face with that kick. Whereas if he's sitting up, if I get right on top of him, this is the best he can do, is get up to my stomach. And it's going to be extremely difficult for him to get all the way up and get any power striking up into my face. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to practice those 2 different things. If you've got a partner, then go ahead and do what we were doing just a second ago. You'll have one person standing up, and they'll be moving around, moving a little left, a little bit right, and you'll keep those feet pointed towards them at all times. And practice both versions, sitting up and then down on the elbows. All right, go. If you don't have a partner, you can just as easily practice this imagining you got a partner. Very nice, very nice. Good, and stop. All right, we're going to add the next 2 different versions. So the next version is where he's all the way on the ground. His head is up off the ground. We don't want to drag our heads across concrete if we ever end up on our back outside. Won't feel good. And this one, obviously, his head's even safer. He's got his hands in the way now. So if I do happen to get past those legs, his head's really far away, and he's got his hands protected as well. And once again, he can kick even higher on this one. So if I'm leaning up and over the top, boom, he can still get that up kick right up into my face. This is the slowest version, but it's a little bit safer. Then we're going to do the one that I saw Mr. Gamble do in the last one. This is one that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teaches a lot. So he's going to lay one leg down, and his other hand's going to be up here, protecting. So from here, it's kind of a little bit of a blend. He's protecting his face. He's not quite as fast as the first version, but he's still pretty fast from up here. And he still has a decent amount of ability to kick up, at least enough to where he can. So go ahead and practice those 2 versions now. Move around your partner, sometimes be in this position here, and sometimes be all the way on your back with your head up off the ground, protecting your face with your hands. All right, let's see him go. Very nice. All right, and stop. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the kickstand. So this isn't actually something you have to do, at least at this portion of the black belt test. It will be done earlier in the black belt test. However, I'm going to cover it here anyway because it is so important, especially if you end up on the ground in a street situation. You got to be able to defend yourself from down there, and you got to be able to get back up as quickly as possible. You don't want to stay down there any longer than you have to. So his kicking options from here, groin is an excellent target. If he does that, his foot is going to be up and down, just like a normal front kick. He can hit with the ball of his foot if you want, or he can just as easily hit with his heel. That's a very devastating strike right there. So, boom, groin shots. Stomach is also an option, but a little less, not deadly, but a little less effective than the groin. If you want to be a little nicer, I don't know why you would. But then we also have a stomp into the knee here. And see what he's doing with his foot right there? He's got his foot turned sideways. This gives him a little more surface area to strike my leg. If his foot is up and down, then he's got a chance of sliding off one side or the other. But if he turns it sideways, boom, and he hits right there on my knee, ow, that's going to hurt. It's going to give him a very much better chance of escaping from that point. If you're sitting like this, then those are kind of the two ways you would do it. If you're on the other version where you've got one leg down, one leg here, this one would be excellent for kicking up and down. The back one would be your best one for kicking sideways into the knee, right there, because it's already flat, already sideways. So, what I want you to do for the next minute or two is your partner is going to be moving around. You're going to practice all the different versions. Sometimes be up here, sometimes be down on your elbows, sometimes be in our jiu-jitsu position there with one leg down and one hand up. The reason for this is you need to see which one's best for you, as well as see the different reasons for all of them. Like I said, there's benefits to each one, and there's times you'll feel better in one, and sometimes you'll feel better in others, and then there might be one position that you just really don't like, and don't want to ever end up in that position. So you need to know that now. And I want you, if you've got a partner, go ahead and start tagging your partner. If they get in close enough, touch them a little bit with that leg. Don't hurt them. Be extra careful. These are very delicate at times, so don't make any contact whatsoever. Just maybe a light touch or get close, but no power whatsoever. And then groin shots as well. And if your partner wants to, they can come in close, boom, and you can work on the up kick. That one, once again, is done from elbows or all the way on your back with your hands up protecting your face. So let's see you moving around your partner, and then occasionally, boom, let him throw those kicks at you. Pause and let him throw that kick at you. All right, let's see it. Looking good. When you're doing this, try not to roll all the way on your side. If you're here moving around, it can be tempting to roll all the way here to your side if you see him getting past. And sometimes that's all you have the option to do. But from here, you're much more stagnant. You're not going to be nearly as fast. So try and stay up as best as you can while you're turning and kicking. That going to your side and going in the fetal position is kind of a last resort option. All right, I'll give you another 30 seconds. Go. Appreciate that. And stop. Good, all right, one last little tidbit I'm gonna leave you with this portion, and that's gonna be getting full power on your kick. So nothing wrong with snapping a good kick in there, just quick and fast. But if you want full power out of this, you're gonna be using your entire body weight. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna lift his body up in the air. You can see there's space down there, and he leans into it, boom, as he does his kick. He's rocking his whole body weight forward and driving that kick in. I'm not gonna make you do this one now, but I'd highly recommend getting the target out and seeing just how hard you can hit. And then you can add a crab walk in ahead of that. So from here, actually take a couple steps forward as if the bad guy were back here contemplating what they're gonna do next. Boom, rush them and get that shot in when they think they're safe. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna run through the base get-ups, the ways to get up safely. So when he's here, he's gonna put both hands down on the side, and he's gonna lift his bottom leg up in the air, pull it back behind him, and then the first time it touches the ground is when he's in full base. Any times of you put it on the ground ahead of that is gonna slow you down. A lot of people will have a tendency to touch here first. It's just natural for them, but that little motion there is gonna slow you down and give the bad guy a better chance of getting close to you. So make sure it touches the ground back there first. Version 2, since we're going to go ahead and move into version 2 and version 3 and let you practice any of them that you want. Version 2, he's going to move his hands a little farther back this way. He's going to lean on his hands and he's going to jump backwards. So you can see before, he was actually kind of almost within my range. He was 1.5 arm lengths. Now, he's quite a bit more than 2 arm lengths. That's also because of his long arms. But anyway, that's version 2, making more space as you get up and get away. The final version, he does that same thing, but now he's going to do it one-handed. So in case I get him close, he can have that arm up protecting him while he's getting away. So if you know, if you've been exposed to these before, go ahead and start practicing version 3. If you haven't, then you can stick with version 1. Both hands there, get stabilized, lift this leg up in the air first, pull it back behind you, post it on the ground and stand up. And then if you've got a partner, you can have them test your base a little bit. Pull and push and see that you actually did land in a good base and you're not just here with your feet kind of together. All right, let's see you practice that for a few minutes. Go. All right, looking pretty good, everybody. I like it. So, from there, once you got up in your base, if they come charging at you, you're going to need to defend yourself. If you can get that counter kick up there in time, that's great. Your legs are very far apart, though. That might not be you might not have time to get it up before they get in too close. If that's the case, you can try your hands as well. But actually, what I would recommend is covering. Here, we've got our rhino there, we've got helmet option, just a shell, and then just driving in. You're already kind of below them because you're down here low in your base, and so any headshots are going to be kind of what they're going to be going after. So all you have to do is cover up here, move things close, and then from there you can go in with your close range strikes, your elbows, your knees, or depending on the situation, shove them away from you and take off running from there. So anyway, we'll move on from there. I won't make you drill that one for now, but what we'll be going into next is the mounts. That's next on our list there. So Mr. Sellers here is on his back. Mount is when we are on top. Now, there's different versions of mount. The first one I'll be going through is kind of known as ground and pound. I'm going to slide my knees all the way up into his armpits here. That puts my weight higher on his chest, making it harder for him to breathe. I want my knees wide, and my feet are going to stay in tight to his body and his hips right here. If he starts bouncing around from this point, I don't even necessarily need my hands. I can kind of ride it like a rodeo cowboy, just squeezing with my feet here and shifting my weight here. Obviously, having hands on the ground will be better. But from here, I've got the options of attack. All my options are very open here. I've got strikes, boom, boom, boom. I recommend open hand strikes, elbows and palm heels, and slapping to the eardrum there. If you strike with a closed fist, we've got forehead there, and we've got floor, more than likely concrete, right there. And if I miss just a little bit, that means a broken hand for me. I don't want that. So open-handed strikes, hooking strikes, elbows, dropping your weight into it, boom. These are all extremely, extremely good things. If you've got a target, you can strike a target. Let me go grab one real fast. You can drill getting at full power just by sitting on your target here, pretending like you're in the mount, and boom, driving all your weight into it, lifting up and dropping down as you do it, or swinging across and getting your palm, hooking palm heel strikes in right there. And we'll do that in a second, but first, what we're going to do is we're going to have you get a mount, and I want you to just get your base. I want your partner to wiggle back and forth, not very hard. This is not the strongest of positions right there, but I want you to get used to being able to stay in position even with a little bit of a movement. They're just moving back and forth, maybe trying to bump you off just a little bit, and you just got to ride it like a rodeo cowboy. All right, let's see it. Go. Get used to lightly throwing in some of those strikes there as well. Obviously, don't hurt your partner. Thanks, Lois. All right, looking good, everybody. Let's move into the next one. The next version of mounts here is going to be mount with braces. We're going to have our hands wider than their shoulders. You get too close to their head, and you really don't have a base. All you're doing is giving them an opportunity to grab your arm. So hands on the floor, wider than their shoulders, and then from here, I've got a little more control. If he starts moving more, I will be able to handle it. If he starts grabbing me and pushing me, I can handle it. We'll add our hooks in a second, hooking under the head. But right now, hands on the floor, feel your partner moving around, they push you up, they push you side to side, and you just gotta feel where they're pushing you and adjust your hands accordingly. All the while pinching with your heels back here, heels, toes, whatever you dig in there, and that way you can keep your lower body pinned into them while your hands control and keep your upper body from falling too far off from one side to the other. All right, so let's see, mount with braces and see how well you can control them from there. Go. Looking pretty good, everybody. All right, let's move into our last mount position. This one is known as low and wide, or an airplane mount, because our hands are going to be out wide like airplane wings. Our head is going to be bumped up against the side of their head, looking away from them. Should be fairly obvious for most of you. If I turn and I look at my partner and he wiggles his head a little bit, then I have a flat nose and 2 missing teeth. So I want the back of my head touching his head. That way he's got no room to develop any power if he does try to headbutt me or accidentally headbutt me. And even if he does, he's hitting pretty tough skull. I got a hard head, so I should know. So we're going to be right in here, touching head to head. Arms are going to be out wide, gripping the ground to the best of your ability. You want no space. Your chest is going to be touching their chest. And once again, focus on those feet. Those feet can hold in your lower body and keep you from shifting off to the side. And then from here, when he moves around, I got a lot of control. He can move around pretty hard, and it's going to be difficult for him to knock me off. So I want you to show me a low and wide mount or an airplane mount, and partners on the bottom. I want you to start trying to push them a little bit harder and see if they've got a really good control over you. All right, let's see it. Go. Looking pretty good, everyone. And stop. All right, so for just a minute now, if you've got a target handy, I want you to practice on using your strike. So you're going to be in any of the positions. You can be here, you can be here, or here. But you always come to this one first, boom, and throw a strike in. Even if you're low and wide, you got to lift up a little bit, boom, to get that full power. And I want you to start practicing on hitting your target as hard as you can. If you don't have a target handy, then what I want you to do is be with your partner, and I want you to work on the different positions, mix them up, and your partner is going to be struggling the whole time trying to knock you off. And you're just going to be shifting from one to the other, back to the first one, back to the third one, and mix them all in there. All right, let's see you practicing the mount with strikes or just all the different versions of the mount. Go. Drop your body weight into it. Lift up and drop down. You've got gravity working on your side. Use it. Yeah, I see some pretty awesome strikes there. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right, and stop. Good, we're gonna talk about other ways they might try and get you off now. So the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna grab you and just try and lift you straight up, bench press you. So, not gonna be hard for him to bench press me. He's pretty strong, I don't weigh a whole lot, so I gotta figure out something. He's gonna start lifting me up here. I don't wanna lift up with him. If you start lifting up with him, you're going in his same direction and you're helping him out, and now I'm in a really bad spot. So instead, as he lifts up, I want to try and make it as difficult on him as possible. I lean forward and try and keep the weight on him. Don't let myself go backwards at all. Then I'm going to twist my body. Just that simple act of twisting my body is already getting a sliding effect on this hand here. From there, this hand on the same side is going to be coming under, back behind, under the arm, and then I go straight back to the floor where I had it. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I twist, go back, under, and straight back to the floor where I had it. A common problem with people, a common tendency is people will think I need to get this hand off of me. That's way too much extra motion. It throws you off balance, and it's not what you need. All you need to do is get to the inside. Even if he manages to hold onto my shirt right here, he can't push very strong with that arm because I have the inside track. All I have to do is start just edging out a little bit, and he can't really lift me or throw me anywhere. And then I just do the same thing on the other side. This is called swimming. You're just sliding and getting to the inside of his arms and then feeding back out to where you were before. One hand at a time. That way you stay as stable as possible. Once again, if you start lifting up, you're helping him out and you're going to go over backwards. All right, so let's see you practicing swimming when they try and lift you straight up. Sure, you're twisting. Get that sliding effect. Twist side to side. Otherwise, you're making it a lot harder on yourself. You're using muscle rather than leverage. Checking my chat here. That's right, Mr. Ingram. We got some very talented young people in here that are working really hard. Good, and stop. Let's add something to this. Now, when we drill this, we do it over and over and over again, so we get very comfortable with the move and we get very fluid with it. But in a real situation, you don't want to do it over and over again. So we're going to follow up with it as quickly as possible. So as he pushes on me, I slide through, and I immediately drop down here into my low and wide. As soon as I get past that second arm, I'm lowering my body. If I want a little extra insult to injury, I'm going to drop my shoulder, boom, right there into his teeth. And see if I can get a little basketball effect with his head. So we twist, swing through, drop that shoulder right into the face. If you can manage it, maybe you can drop an elbow into the face. That one's a little trickier, just different body motion. Hang on one second, I got a question here. Let's answer this real fast. Mr. Elias, on the test is the put on person also swim. If both people are testing, then yes, you can have 2 people that are both testing, one person on top doing the swim, and then they switch, and then the other person on top doing the swim. I know that MDS will be coming out soonish, like possibly before the end of the year. I can't answer much more than that, but we'll cover all those questions in that as well. But yes, it will be, if it's one person doing the test and the other person's not, then you don't need to see the person that's not doing the test do the swim. They just need to be the one doing the push. All right, and so do your swim through. It's not something, the strike of the end is not something you have to see have to do on a black belt test, but we're going to do it anyway because it ties into a realistic situation on the street. Swim through, boom, drop a shoulder, or swim through, and try and throw an elbow in there as you go down. All right, let's see it, go. Mr. Ingram, you're being called me because it knows it's you. We see you as Doug Ingram. Looking pretty good, everyone. All right, and stop. Before I continue, I want to just make a little disclaimer here. I'm teaching some pretty damaging stuff with all this, dropping an elbow into somebody's head while they're sitting on concrete. That's going to do some damage. So just be aware that whatever situation you're in, you are matching their level of threat. So if somebody's, just giving you a bad time, bully at the playground, somebody just saying, hey, look, I can beat you, I can beat a black belt, don't smash their teeth into the concrete. We've got chokes and other things that we can teach you as well if we can get to them in time. Just to be aware. I'm sure you all know that already, but I want to throw it out there anyway. So next on the list, we've got the side mount. So we're going to pair this in with what the Gracies call a bulldozer movement here. So very often somebody will think they can roll and get to their hands and feet and then stand up from there. And that's true, they can. But if you know what you're doing, then you're not going to let that happen. If you don't know what you're doing, go ahead and start rolling. He's going to roll over that leg, and now I am on the bottom, and out of frame too. I'm still here, but I'm on the bottom, and I'm in a bad spot here. So I don't want to let him trap my leg. As he starts the roll, I'm going to pick this leg up and out of the way. And my foot is what's giving me balance here, but my knee is no longer going to get trapped. My back leg now is going to slide in tight. I'm going to have one hand kind of controlling him. I might even help him roll over. And this hand here is going to be my stabilizer. So stabilize with the knee back here. In fact, let's roll this way so I can show you what's going on in the back side. This knee kind of slides in, stabilize. My foot is planted here so I can push back. If he tries to roll back into me, I have some power there. If I leave this foot in too much and he starts rolling back, no more power. I end up going backwards with him. And then this is called a side mount here. Like this way. This is called a side mount. And lots of good things can happen from here. We've got armbar options, other arm lock options. We've got chokes from here. We won't be able to cover all those today, but just going to teach it, and we're going to teach the most likely way you'll get into it as well, which is somebody trying to roll on you. And then in a second, we'll teach what happens when they roll all the way to their stomach. All right, so they roll to the side, whichever way they're rolling, you pull that foot up and out of the way. Then your knee slides forward to touch the back of their head. sit on them, at least have one hand controlling, grabbing the shoulder, grabbing their head, something, and the other one out here stabilizing. And then you can move into grabbing an arm in a second when we go for an arm bar. All right, let's see it, go. Lift that knee up quick. Don't let him trap it. There you go. Good, and stop. Very nice. All right, so this time he decides to roll, and either I make him or he chooses to roll all the way to his stomach. So he starts his roll. I'm controlling with this hand and stabilizing with this hand. As he gets to his stomach, I now sit on him, and I'm going to be touching his hips with my feet right here. Knees are wide, just like in a regular mount, and this would be called back mount. From here, he's in a really bad position. He's got no arms to defend himself. I have access to the back of his neck in a life and death situation right there. Spinal cord reaching the back of the skull. That's a pretty nasty spot to strike. Only life and death situation though. If I want to be a little nicer, we have the sleeper option right in here. We've got neck cranks right in here for some good submissions. Make him let him know that we mean business. We've got strikes, same as before, circling around. Those are the less lethal strikes. So what we're going to be doing right now is I just want you to be letting your partner roll to the back, and I want you to control in what's known as a backpack grip. You're going to slide one arm over their shoulder, and one arm is going to go here under the arm. I'm making space here so you can see, but normally you're just going to be laying on them, sliding one over the shoulder, one under the arm. So for a second, let's show them from just a sitting position right here. So if you were on stomach down on the floor, I'd be sliding one in here, and I'd be grabbing my own wrist, sleeve, something like that. I could do a palm-to-palm grip. Never interlace your fingers. If he happens to crunch your fingers together, ow, it hurts really bad. So palm-to-palm is fine, grabbing your wrist is fine, and then bury your head in like this. This is just a good little controlling position. You become a little backpack, and it's hard for him to get you off. And then from there, you have all those same options. And then we'll do the sleeper before we end the day. So let's see it. Go. Roll. Let him roll to the stomach and get into a backpack grip from back mount. Get everybody showing here. All right, and stop. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to go show you our sleeper now. So I'll just show it from here, and I'll let you do it from here as well, just because it's a little easier. It's a little safer for your partner when you're first learning, but know that it can be done from the position you were just in. So you're going to slide your arm around your partner's neck. Then it's both of your jobs right now to make sure the elbow is directly under the chin. Let me get my sleeve out of the way so you can see my elbow a little bit better. If I'm here, my forearm is going right across his windpipe. That's no good. That means he's going to die. Here, bicep and forearm are squeezing on the veins going up into his head. And that means he's just going to go to sleep. Just a little, he's going to pass out. From here, we've got different grips. We've got this one, but the one we're going to go with right now is we're going to be grabbing our own bicep or shoulder as high as we can get, and then our other hand is going to feed behind his head, and we're going to grab our other shoulder here. So one hand grabs one shoulder, the other hand grabs the other shoulder. From here, we want to protect our face once again, bury it in, and we squeeze our elbows together and push down with this hand towards our elbow. And those two motions are going to get them to tap out. There's lots of other things you can, little pieces that you can do to feed it in, but most of the time, pulling your elbows together and sliding this hand down is going to get the tap, the submission. Go very slowly with this one. I don't need to see anybody passing out and blaming me for it. Go. Give your partner a good tap whenever it starts to feel uncomfortable. Don't wait. Don't wait till you see stars. Make sure your hand is going to your shoulder up here. See some people trying to do this one on the outside of their arm. It's got to go to the inside to the shoulder. Then you feed behind your partner's head over here. So inside the arm, not grabbing the outside of your arm. Inside of the elbow there, I see someone on Phillips Hall's camera grabbing the outside. Grab inside on top of your bicep or on top of your shoulder, not out on the forearm. All right, looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and move on. So that's one of our nicer things we can do to somebody. This is excellent for a fight where you kind of know the person. Maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe somebody's got a little too drunk at a family reunion and they just need to be sobered up a little bit, but not caved in, not having their teeth caved in or eye blackened. We're going to jump ahead a little bit now. We're going to go into an escape from a mount, just because it's one I really want to do. It's one I see is really, really important if you ever end up in a street fight. And it's too far down the list for me to make it there in time with what time we have left. So I'm on the ground this time, and he is on top of me here. And this is a street fight, so more than likely what he's going to want is our ground and pound position. He doesn't know it's called ground and pound position. He doesn't know it's called mount. Doesn't matter. He knows he's sitting on me. He knows I'm stuck, and he knows he can beat my face in. So the first thing I got to do is cover my head. Lots of different ways you can cover. Your shell's this way, your shell's this way. Look for the shell this way. Do what you like. But from here, let's go ahead and turn sideways now so you can see my legs. From here, we're going to take our leg, And we're going to do a bridge. There's the jiu-jitsu bridge where we bring our feet in, we just push our hips straight up. That's perfectly fine. We've also got the version here where we kick our leg into their back at the same time. Either one is fine. Personally, I think this one's a little more effective where you kick them at the same time. But it's up to you, whichever one you like better. From there, we're going to reach up and we're going to hug them right around the stomach. And we're going to keep our head buried in here to the side, right there. If I let my head sag down, he can force it down to the ground, and now he can start sitting up, and I'm right back where I was. I can keep zero space between me and him. And then the next thing we're going to do is as he starts to lift up to try and punch me, I'm going to push forward. This is our shoulder work that we did earlier, just slightly modified. And as I feel him lift up, I just keep pushing him right back down to the ground, and he never has the opportunity to get his hand off the ground to push my head down and start striking me to do anything that would make my life miserable. So your job is to bump them, whichever one, hug, make sure it's a good strong grip, monkey grip around the wrist there. If you can't reach the wrist, just grab clothing and then bury your head into the side of their body. Don't give them any space to push you down, and then walk them backwards or back behind you so that they can never get that hand up off the ground. All right, let's see you do this, and then we'll make the transition. We'll make the roll in just a second. Go. You're getting ahead of me there, Mr. Elias. Give me a second. I'll answer your question. Some more than just one person. All right, we're running out of time, so let's move on into the next piece. So, in answer to Mr. Elias's question, yes, the black belt test as it is written now, you can do any of these moves in any way that you've seen, like the escape from the mount that we're about to do right now. This is just one version. There's a bunch of different versions, and you don't have to do strictly BJJ, as you'll see in just a second. So, he's in his mount here. I bump him, I hug him, I hang him tight, I walk him forward. Now from here, I'm going to pull myself up as best as I can to get, we're going out there here, let's back up some. I pull myself up towards his shoulders as best I can so that I can now wrap around and trap his arm. This arm is still holding on, trying to keep me as close as possible. My head is going to be on this side over here. Reason for that is I'm going to use a little bit of pain there to give me an advantage. I'm going to chew on his ribs. I could dig my chin into his ribs. If I have the freedom to release, I could dig a knuckle into his ribs right there. Any of those work, but any little pain, it's a sensitive area, so just a little bit of pain right there is going to make him jump off to the side. Probably not enough to where he falls off, so we have to do the rest. I've wrapped my arm around his. I can hug, reach around and grab this way, make a giant loop, kind of like a headlock of sorts, or I can grab his shoulder or back of his arm right in there. Either one of those will work. I'm going to fight right there into his upper ribs as I bump him again, and I roll him towards the arm that I trapped him. I get that little bite, get that little chin dig, and that helps me out as I bump him and roll him up and over to the side. So once again, this is not BJJ. You're going to use BJJ as part of it because technique is always better than just doing things, but it's not just BJJ either. You need to throw in some quad in there too. So this is your escape from mount when somebody is throwing strikes. You got like 1 minute, and then we're gonna have to end it there. Go. Double check for time. Trap that arm. Fight him, chew on him a little bit, bump him and roll him. If you got any final questions, now would be the time to type them in chat. I'll kind of let you go for a little bit till close to the end, and then we'll bow out and let you go for the day. Thank you, Lois. Glad to have you in our class. It was a pleasure. All right, we're going to go ahead and end it there. Excellent job, everyone. It was a pleasure working with y'all. You looked very excellent. So a lot of hard effort. I know it's been a long day for some of you who've been to a lot of classes already. Yeah, I'm going gambling person, Mr. Elias. Got to go get my blackjack in. Wait. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed the rest of your ITC. It was great having you all. Come to attention. Face your flag if you got one. Bow. Face this direction and bow. Ready stance. Yes, these are all the stuff is required on the black belt test except for some of the follow-ups that I added in there. If you read through the black belt test, there were things that I said and things that were not. But the basic moves were all pretty much in there, just not the falls, not necessarily the strikes, not necessarily the. Well, I think the sleeper is in this one. Yeah, rear naked choke is in this one, but most of the stuff was. All right. Any other questions I missed in here? Thank you, everybody. Hands for the bulldozer. Ideally, you want one hand on the ground stabilizing you and one hand holding them on the floor. And you want it this direction here. If you got this foot up, then you want the same side hand on them. And if they're going this way, then you'd be going this direction. That's how you control them and stabilize at the same time. I think everyone understand that. Any questions on the bulldozer? Nope. Excellent, everybody. Like I said, it was a pleasure working with all of you all.
Okay, the next seminar is at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. So we'll see you guys in the morning. Thank you, Mr. Jamieson.
Thank you.